Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another episode of the most offensive podcast ever. I'm Slimmy V, and today came across this video of teachers allegedly teaching sexual orientations to kids young as 8. As you've seen in the last couple of videos that I have dropped in the last couple of days, this is no longer alleged. They are doing this. They are purposely rewiring the brains of your child to accept different sexual orientations. They are telling your children it's okay if you're gay. It's okay if you're lesbian, it's okay if you're trans, it's okay to come out the closet and be who God told you to be. And that is no longer, of course, as I just said, alleged. This is no longer a conspiracy theory, ladies and gentlemen. This is facts. Now we got parents that are coming out against this, fired up, going after these teachers that are promoting these type of sexual orientations to their 8-year-olds. And it's one thing that you cannot really stop is a mother when she's angry about her kids. Can't stop that. So look, if you like what I'm saying, if you like the videos that I've been doing, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video so you could have thoughtful conversations with other people, because this needs to get around. People need to know what's going on. They need to wake up. They need to be aware as to what is happening in their schools. They are shaping and forming the brains of our children into thinking that these things are okay. And no, I don't think it's okay for kids to dive into what sexual orientations are. No. But without further ado, let me just stop yapping and just show you what has been going on. All right? Let's check it out. And I'll give you a little commentary throughout.
I'm sorry, are we doing Bible studies in classrooms? No, we're not, right? So why is this certain agenda being pushed into the classrooms? I'm here to bring awareness to the emails that had surfaced earlier this month. The one I find most disturbing of all is of a third grade teacher trying to talk about sex with 8-year-old students. These are 8-year-old children.
Why is that even happening? Let me just not. As if sex is like the most important thing. What about financial literacy? What about being happy who God made you to be? What about learning a trade?
That she's trying to hold a sexual orientation class with. A parent shared their concern and their objection to it and pulled their kid out. And instead of this teacher being concerned of what she did wrong, she goes to a district employee and asks for ways of how she can continue to teach sexual orientation to her third grade class. You guys want us to believe that this isn't a propaganda, that no agenda is being held? This wasn't just any sexuality class. This was specifically designed 3 days a week. She taught LGBTQ curriculum in her class. It raises the question, how many of those students are excelling in that classroom? Is everybody in that class getting A's in math, English, grammar, social studies? That we can dedicate 3 days a week to teach 8-year-olds about sexual orientation? I don't care what kind of sex is being discussed. The word sexuality, nudity, does not belong in the ears in a classroom of 8-year-old kids. And when a parent showed their concern, what does this teacher do? Completely disregards and goes behind the parent's back trying to find ways of how to continue these lesson plans? The level...
This is why I've always said there is an agenda out for your kids. We have talked about it, and it's snuck in, because when you look at the Catholic Church, when you look at the Catholic Church and the amount of priests that were doing very ungodly things to young boys. And how these things were hidden. Okay? When you look at pedophilia in Hollywood, and the amount of actors and actresses that came out, put out a video. These videos, sometimes you probably are not even going to find them on YouTube. Some of them, most of them have been removed. But there is something very sinister happening. And it's infiltrated into the classroom. Now, it has always been there. I'm thinking, in my opinion, it has always been there. It's just rising up to the top because a lot of these parents are speaking out. They probably don't even care what happens to them. They're speaking out against it. They're tired of this bull crap. So we need to somehow say, why are they doing this? You know, why are they using our children like objects? This is just plain nasty. It's a bit too much. I can't even fathom the thought of having to approach a teacher, looking at her or him in the face and say, why are you teaching this to my kids? What, like, why can't you come to me? There was a time back then, I went to Catholic school growing up, where they had sex ed. They sent a paper home saying your parents would have to sign this or you're not allowed in this teaching, in this sex education class. You know, so mom or dad would have to sign and say, oh yeah, I allow my son to take sex ed class or whatever. Or no, my son is not allowed. And you would be removed out of the classroom and put someplace else. That's at least how it was back then. Right now, they just doing what they feel like doing. They're like, nah, I'm gonna teach them about this LGBTQ curriculum. What the hell?
Level of disrespect that has been shown to Christian conservative parents is becoming very obvious. It's like all of a sudden, just because we don't fit the agenda, we don't fit in within the parameters of the agenda that's being pushed, we're being disregarded and pushed to the side. We're not talking about having people excluded. We're talking about the level of uncomfortability that some parents are experiencing, and that's important. Because if you guys want to talk about including all, listening to all, every student matters, our kids matter too. And we don't want those subjects being taught to children who are just 8 years old. And the topics get worse and worse and the subjects get more detailed. And I'm sorry, are we doing Bible studies in classrooms? No, we're not, right? So why is this a certain agenda being pushed into the classrooms?
Remember, they're not doing Bible study because they feel Bible scriptures, passages, chapters, viewpoint, perspectives is offensive to the LGBTQ society, community, political spectrum. They feel that if they do this, it'd be a smack in the face to LGBTQ people. And who knows what money is being funded through the education system because of the LGBTQ plus curriculum. How many, and this is the question, because this is interesting, how many schools or classes, private schools, I don't care what schools you are, public, private, whatever, how many of y'all are getting money or public funds or government funds to promote LGBTQ curriculum? And if the schools object to it, do a pass on this type of curriculum, how many funds is going to be removed from that school? When it boils down to it, I I believe, all right, this is my opinion, that you got to follow the money. Money has a lot to do with it. Because what interest, right? Unless you some type of pervert, right? What interest have you in teaching sexual orientation to 8-year-olds? What interest is it? Want to teach them how to read? Want to teach them how to do math? Want to teach them science, space, or all of that stuff? Want to teach them financial literacy? You could start as young as kindergarten, counting pennies, quarters, nickels, dimes, and all of that. But sex? 8-year-olds? 8 years old.
But if we don't take a stand and we don't share our voice, they're just going to sweep this under the rug. Why should a parent overhear her 8-year-old kid being taught about sex?
Mrs. Tiber says, "Good morning, Sally and Craig. As you know, I teach 3rd grade. Today I talked to my class about LGBTQ Pride Month and played 2 short videos from YouTube that were geared toward kids. A parent who heard the lesson and discussion made her daughter leave the Zoom and texted me asking when I was done discussing sexual orientation so that she can let her kids back onto Zoom. I was planning on doing more lessons tomorrow and Wednesday, but now I'm afraid to." After sending the email, Mrs. Tiber received a response from Mr. Craig Lewis, part of district staff, that said, "Do not be concerned or afraid. Your principal should support you, as I know that our district, including Vivian, does," end quote. This district staffer goes even further and gives more media recommendations to the teacher, but says to steer clear of content that says sexual or coming out, since it may raise red flags. In other words, coaching this teacher on proven methods to push her agenda, but to stay under the radar. Immediately after the release of this email chain, the parents at Jefferson Elementary who have had Ms. Tiber as their child's teacher reached out to the principal and demanded answers. Why is gender and sexuality issues being taught to 8-year-olds to begin with? With the tremendous loss of learning our children experienced the past 2 years, coupled with the already dismal reading and math performance scores of public schools, why are teachers taking away precious learning time to push their own political and social agendas? In what realm should 8-year-olds be discussing topics around transgenderism, lesbian, gay, queer, and coming out? All words which were repeated many times in these videos. As a parent, I demand an investigation into this matter, the teacher, and the district as a whole. The lid has been flipped, and the level of systemic indoctrination is abhorrent.
You believe me now? Do you believe me now? They're telling these teachers to stay under the radar. Sneak these things in. Ain't that some type of child abuse that's going on here? Ain't no wonder these kids are confused as heck. They don't know what they are. They don't know whether they're a boy or a girl. They don't know whether to wear a pants or a dress. Not to say that these things represent female and male. But you get my drift. You get where I'm coming from, right? Throughout society, right? When you look, a man wears a suit, woman wears a dress, right? As you can see when you go to the bathroom, you see the 2 legs, and then you see that triangle that represents a dress. So you understand it's an association thing. Okay? It is to have a difference. But right now we're erasing all of these sexual orientations and confusing the heck out of our kids. This ain't right. This is wrong. They sneaking this stuff inside of your classes into your children, and your children probably coming home, not telling you about it. Who knows? Maybe they said, "Don't tell your parents that we're teaching this. You know, we're gonna have some fun. Here's some candy, blah, blah, blah." We don't know what goes on in the classrooms. But when you see people, these parents are catching these emails and these links and reading them and then questioning them about it, then we know something is happening. Yeah, as they say, man, Satan is walking the earth, and Satan is after your children. Because Satan, when Satan came to earth, Satan came to confuse each and every single person. He wanted to cause confusion. He didn't want to cause enlightenment. That's Christ. Christ is the light of the world. Satan wanted to cause confusion. Satan bears a false light. He is called like the light bearer, but that's a false light. When you think you're awake, but you're not. You're sleeping, you're dreaming, and in your dream you wake up, you think it's reality, but it's not. Reality is reality. Dream is dream. And right now, so many people are still asleep, but awake in their dreams, thinking it's reality. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's have more debates. Let's have more discussions. Let's stop hiding. Let's stop being in fear. Let's talk about this openly. Why are they teaching our children sexual orientations as young as 8 years old? And in my opinion, as I showed in previous other videos, younger than 8. I'm Slimmy V. This is the most offensive podcast ever. If you're not offended, you probably wasn't watching or listening. God bless, stress less, and let Yahweh do the rest. I'm out. Peace.